we're not just practicing stress reduction and calming the mind. We're doing that because it will help us physically, it'll help us mentally to be calmer, to be more centered, to be more focused. But the ultimate practice of meditation has to do with discovering the truth, discovering your actual nature. I was working with a client yesterday who just started to learn to meditate. And as I was talking to her, she stopped me and she said, "You said consciousness and awareness is my true nature." She said, "How do you define that? How do you define consciousness or awareness?" And the answer that I gave her was, I said, consciousness and awareness is what it's like to be you. What it's like to be you. Therefore, what I'm saying is that the experience you're having of your existence, the experience you have that you exist, is the experience of consciousness or awareness. You know, we talk about meditation here, and I talked about the technique. But sometimes people get lost in the technique and they lose sight of the bottom line. They lose sight of what it is that we're actually doing here when we're meditating. And one way that people have talked about simplifying meditation is to say you could just call it silent sitting. You could just call it silent sitting. If you sat every day for a specific period of time and didn't move, stillness, and stayed silent, this silent sitting is an opportunity for you to notice your existence. This is really the heart of the matter. If you sit silently every day, following the breath, so that your attention comes away from thinking, and when your attention comes away from thinking, it's possible to notice your existence. When you're thinking, the thinking process is a process in which your existence has been established already as the body and the personality, right? You know, a famous philosopher said, "I think, therefore I am." Well, he was in the ballpark, but that's not exactly the way it is. You don't know you exist because you think. He said, "I think, therefore I am." You don't know you exist because you think. You know you exist because you're aware. That's how you know you exist. And awareness is there before thinking happens. Right? So Descartes had it a little wrong, but he was in the ballpark when he was talking about the importance of recognizing your existence. And one of the reasons this is so important, based on the teachings, and when I say the teachings, I mean mystical Christianity, Sufism, Taoism, Buddhism, the Kabbalah, all of the ancient mystical teachings say the same thing. And all of the ancient mystical teachings point to the truth, which is that we are awareness. That is our nature. That's our actual nature. This is important because this awareness that we are, if you look at it, and you can look at it because it's there in your chair right now, it's there in your seat right now. It's how you know you're here is your awareness. It's what you experience to be your existence is your awareness. And this is important because we don't live our life as this awareness. You know? Human beings don't live their life as this awareness, which means that they're not living their life as what they actually are. They're living their life as something other than what they actually are. They're living their life as a physical body, and they're living their life as a personality. And they learned to be the personality. Right? When you were an infant and you didn't have language, you knew who you were directly because you were experiencing yourself as awareness. You know, a baby doesn't have language. A baby is experiencing itself as awareness. And then we give the baby language and we teach the baby who the baby is. We say, "This is your name." We take you to a mirror and point to your body and point to the mirror and say, "That's you. That body is you." So you come into the world as a physical body and you come into the world as a personality because that's what you learned, but it's not your true nature, it's not the truth. And we learn to be a physical body and we learn to be a personality so that we can function in the time-space reality called the world, in which everybody agrees on what's real and what's true, which is that we all are physical bodies and we all are personalities. And that has to be the case for us to function in the world. We have to have a form, right? We have to be able to interact with one another. We have to be able to interact with the world. The problem with that is if that's where the process ends, which it does for most people, if that's where the process ends, right? It means that you're stuck in a limited reality that's not the truth. You're stuck in a limited reality that's not the truth. And what happens when you're stuck in that limited reality that's not the truth is you suffer. You suffer. You experience not being happy. You experience being anxious. You experience being depressed. You experience being afraid. You experience being separate from all the rest of humanity, and you experience being separate from the world. And this sets up a suffering. And so the typical human life is a life in which the person is pursuing happiness. The typical human life is a life in which the person is trying to fulfill on this experience of being alive, trying to fulfill on it, trying to have it be meaningful, trying to have it be something that includes happiness and has a sense of satisfaction and includes peace of mind. This is what humanity is chasing, right? This is what humanity is chasing. If you look at your life, right, when you get up in the morning, what you're chasing is being happy. What you're chasing is being peaceful. What you're chasing is being satisfied. In whatever form it takes. If you're after money, why are you after money? You're after money to be able to buy things so that your circumstances are comfortable. Because given the limited experience we have of who we are, right, we experience dissatisfaction. In Buddhism, this is called dukkha, dissatisfaction. We experience pursuing satisfaction, pursuing happiness, but it's not something that's readily available. It's in the world. It's a function of circumstances. So we get up every day and we deal with life circumstances, and the way we deal with life circumstances is we do whatever we can. We take whatever actions we can to try and control those circumstances, to make those circumstances be good circumstances so that we can enjoy ourselves, right? So that we can be happy and we can relax and we can feel a sense of security. The problem with that is that it doesn't work. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, we achieve this experience that we call happiness temporarily. We achieve it temporarily. You know, when you got the new car, when you fell in love in the relationship, you know, when you bought a new house, when you had a new baby, you know, when you won some money from the lottery, when you got the job you wanted, you know, all those circumstances are the right circumstances, the ones you want, right? And at the same time, we're trying to avoid the circumstances we don't want so that we're not unhappy, right? So what do we do to avoid circumstances, right? We avoid being uncomfortable physically, right? We avoid being uncomfortable physically. And we live in a technological world that gives us a lot of wherewithal to do that. So if you have a headache, you can take a pill. Right? If you have pain in your body, if you have muscle pain, joint pain, you can take a pill. So the experience that we're having in this limited form called the personality is unfulfilling. It's a rat race. It's never, if you're never satisfied with any degree of consistency. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. This starts to wear people out. People get depressed because it seems hopeless. No matter how hard I try and no matter how much I get, it never lasts and it never works. And one of the reasons that's the case is because, first of all, most of humanity doesn't understand what happiness is. Most of humanity, the only understanding humanity has of happiness is when I get what I want, I'm happy. So my life is about getting what I want. When I have the right circumstances, I'm happy. So my life is about having the right circumstances. So I find myself, and all humanity finds itself changing the circumstances all the time. You know, If this circumstance doesn't work, if this marriage doesn't work, I'll get rid of it and get another marriage, right? If where I live doesn't work, I'll move to another place where I can be happy. If my job is, if I'm not happy with my job, I'll get another job. So this is the game. This is the human being game, right, that everybody's playing. And it's not workable. It doesn't work. You know, people are suffering a lot, mentally and emotionally and physically suffering a lot. People are dying earlier. People are dying younger. Addiction is on the rise. Mental health issues are on the rise. You know, I'm a practicing psychologist, so I see what goes on with most human beings, you know, that there's a lot of suffering that's happening. And when you look at the suffering, what you see about the suffering is the heart of the matter of the suffering is that human beings are never satisfied. And one of the ways that dissatisfaction occurs is that they're judging and evaluating everything that's going on. The voice in your head is judging and evaluating everything that's going on. And whenever what's happening is not what you want to happen, you resist it. You deny it. You reject it. You say no to it. You know, no to this circumstance, no to this weather, you know, no to this person, no to this job, you know, no to this president, whatever it is, right? Right? So you're living a life in which the voice in your head is talking to you all the time, and it's telling you what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, right? And whatever happens that's inconsistent with what you like and what you want and what will make you happy, you resist it and you reject it. That's the source of suffering. Well, that's the practice of meditation, and practice of meditation is to practice being aware of what's happening, right? Paying attention in such a way where you can watch the conditioned reality of your mind play and deny what's happening or resist what's happening. Now, here's the deal. The personality will say, "Oh, I get it. I have to practice being accepting, right? So I'm going to be more accepting. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be more accepting." If you go to practice being more accepting, you'll discover that you can't do it. You can't do it because your conditioning is too strong. If something happens that your conditioning comes in and rejects what's happening, you know, your good idea about accepting it doesn't matter. Try being accepting when you get pissed off, you know. Try being accepting when you're in a bad mood, right? Your conditioning overrides all that stuff, and your brain has been conditioned, your brain has been trained to be this way. So the personality can come up with all the good ideas at once. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing with physical exercise. The personality knows that physical exercise works. Personality knows that it's important to be healthy, right? But that's not enough. That won't get you to the gym every day, right? So there's something missing in that. And the reality of it is, and this is the heart of the matter with meditation, what we're practicing is waking up to our true nature. And what you discover about your true nature, gradually if you stay with the practice of meditation, or if you study the teachings, what do the teachings tell us? They tell us your nature is happiness. Your true nature is happiness. So that if you were being what you actually are, which is awareness itself, if you were being that, you would be experiencing happiness. Because that which is what you are is the experience of existence itself. When we're practicing meditation, we're getting to the bottom line. We're getting to the experience of existence itself. When you say the word I, what you mean is I exist, right? When you say the word I, you mean I exist. Now watch, when you say the word I, you're not saying I, David, right? I and then your name, I, David, exists. No, if you say I walk, I live, I eat, I work, right? You're not referring to your personality, you're referring to your existence, aren't you? I is your existence, right? And so what the teachings tell us is that if you could experience with consistency that existence, which is awareness itself, you would be experiencing satisfaction, happiness, peace of mind. And when you practice meditation, if you stick with it over time and the mind does calm down and the body does relax, you start to see it. You start to have an awareness of the truth. You start to feel this fulfillment. You start to sit there and feel happy and calm and relaxed. And it's not a circumstantial reality. You're not experiencing this because you have the right circumstances. You're experiencing this because when you're experiencing your true nature, that's the experience. That's the experience. So what the teachings tell us is that if you want to be happy, if you want to really be happy, not the kind of happiness that has to do with getting what you want, but the kind of happiness that happens when you're experiencing your true nature, which is naturally happy, the natural state, then you have to practice meditation over time to make the transition, to come out of the identity that you were being as a physical body and a personality, which was programmed into your brain, right? So you have to change your brain, to come out of that gradually over time and start to experience your true nature with consistency, so that you could go through your life on a daily basis experiencing that I exist as awareness, and the quality of my life is a function of my existing as that awareness. I'm already fulfilled. When I'm experiencing my true nature as awareness, I'm already fulfilled, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, and I'm peaceful. Then I participate in the world. So now I'm not participating in the world to get anything. I already got it, right? I'm fulfilled. I'm not trying to get anything from the world. I'm just enjoying experiencing that I exist in the world. That's a transformed life. That's a different life. This is what the masters are experiencing. This is what the awake people who have done the practices and started to experience with consistency their true nature as awareness itself. This is what they tell us is available for all of us, right? But it's not going to happen by itself. What's already started is that you have identified yourself as a body and a personality, and you've been living your life as that. Right? And if you're going to be honest about it, you can acknowledge that it hasn't worked out. You're still, you're a work in process, right? People say I'm a work in process, right? But let me tell you something, that process is not going to end. You're going to die a work in process, right? But these teachings are telling us that you can come out of that process and start to experience what you actually are that's not a work in process. It's finished. It's not a work, it's finished. It's complete. Your awareness is complete. So this experience of awareness is the fulfillment of the experience you're having as being a human being. It is the fulfillment. This is what you were born for. This is what the promise of your existence is. This is your birthright. Your birthright is to wake up and experience your true nature. And when you wake up and experience your true nature, and you're able to experience that consistently, your life works. Your life works. Because now you're not dependent on the circumstances to be happy, and you're not trying to avoid any circumstances anymore because you're already happy, right? And you don't have to practice being accepting, right? Because your true nature is naturally accepting. It's not trying to accept anything. It can't reject anything. The awareness that you and I are, now watch, just notice your awareness right now. Right? Are you working on your being, is your awareness working on being aware? Is it working? Is it trying to be aware? Right? Notice how your awareness is occurring. It's occurring in you're aware of what you see with the eyes, yes? You're aware of what you see with the eyes, right? Do you get up in the morning and practice seeing for a while before you enter your day? Do you get better at seeing? And most of humanity is confused. The truth be told, your eyes see naturally. In fact, you can't not see. Try not seeing right now. Look at me and try not seeing me, right? You can't do it. Same thing with hearing, right? Hearing and seeing are the ways that the awareness is being in the world, right? It's using your eyeballs to see. But what's seeing is not your eyeball. It's using your ears to hear, but what's hearing is not your ears, right? This is the awareness. This is the existence. This is how you exist. You exist as an awareness that utilizes the body and the senses in order to experience the world. Isn't that the case? Yeah. And even if you're blind, you're still experiencing the world, right? The awareness uses the ears instead of the eyes to be in the world. Right? So the key to happiness, this is the message, this is the teaching. The key to happiness is to discover what's true, discover your true nature, and then to practice experiencing yourself as that true nature. And if you experience yourself as that true nature, you'll experience a natural state of well-being and happiness. This is true. This is something that if you give it, if you commit yourself to the truth, right? If you establish a conviction about what's true, if you establish a conviction about who you are and what's real, which you can do through studying the teachings, right? The teachings, a lot of great teachers have written a lot of things to make it obvious and irrefutable that the truth is the truth. So if you can have that be a conviction for you, and then you can practice daily to come out of the conditioned state that you're in and begin to realize what it's like to be in the natural state, you're discovering well-being when you do that. It's like Richie Davidson, the brain scientist, said that after studying meditators that practice meditation for decades, studying their brain, right? What he concluded was well-being is a practice. Because if they practiced meditation for decades and they're experiencing well-being, peace, satisfaction, and happiness, that must prove that it's a practice. So that's basically what the bottom line is here. If you get the message is you have available to you a practice that you can do consistently that will allow you to wake up and discover that you're already happy all the time. You're already satisfied all the time. You're already at peace all the time, right? But in order to experience that consistently, you have to come out of the conditioned state, right, in which you believe you're something that you're not, which is a personality. The personality is a psychological concept, right? Your personality is a psychological concept, right? It doesn't have a reality. It doesn't have a reality that exists independent. If you have a head injury, you can lose your memory, yes? This is true. And if you lose your memory, you will not know who you are.
Correct.
Yeah. So that means you have to remember who you are. You have to that means, so even if you lose your memory because you have a head injury, you're still aware. If you talk to somebody that has total amnesia, they don't know who they are, but they're still aware. Which means that who they really are is still there. Who they thought they were is gone. Because who they thought they were was something they learned, it was conditioning, it was memory, and now that they can't remember it anymore, they don't know who they are. So how real is your personality if you can forget it and it doesn't exist? How real is it if you can forget it?
Right.
What?
You don't need to experience a head injury so we can get rid of our crazy.
I don't recommend that. I don't recommend head injuries as a way of waking up. Why injure your head in order to wake up when you can just sit still and be silent and it'll happen naturally? But see, you have to have the patience and the persistence in order to do that, because you're in a conditioned state. You're in a state in which you learn that you're something that you're not. You're in a state in which you learn that reality is something that it's not. And the rest of the world is operating with that understanding, right? So you keep getting involved with it every time you interact with other people, right? So this is going to take some practice and some conviction and some study for you to gradually come out of that conditioned state. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible. It is possible. And for that, there are people in this room right now that have been practicing this for several years now, and they have reported to me that they're experiencing what I'm talking about. You're working towards realizing your true nature.
Realizing my nature.
And you're here, see here, this is why you need a teacher, because you're confused, right? And what will happen in your mind is you'll mix things up, right? Oh, I am aware. No. That's an easy mistake to make. I am aware. The personality thinks it's aware, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So that's a mistake. Right? Personality couldn't exist if awareness wasn't there first. Right? So the truth is not I am aware, I am awareness.
I am awareness.
I am awareness. That is my true nature, is awareness. And when I'm experiencing myself as the awareness, I'm experiencing a natural state of well-being, happiness, satisfaction, and peace. And meditation is a practice that can get you out of the condition and into the natural state.
The natural state.
The natural state.
And what's the name for the natural state?
You.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.